Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another stream. It's Friday, and yeah, we are back streaming again. And we are going to continue our journey of trying to get to know the PEST testing framework better. And in the last stream, we had Jason here from Laravel Shift, and we converted all of our tests to PEST test. And now we want to dig a little bit deeper and see what else can we do. And for that we have another guest today, so I'm very happy to bring in the PEST guru here, like to say, Luke Downing. Let's see if we can make that happen. Yes. Hey Luke.
How are things?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. It's the weekend again. Can't believe that, but yeah. Very good.
Almost the end with my work week, at least. I'm not sure if you still have to do stuff, maybe some side projects.
A little bit this afternoon, but pretty great. So can't believe how fast the weeks are going there. They disappear.
If you're doing a lot of things, like it seems you're lately doing a lot of things, especially with PEST. You have your live streams, you are at live streams from other persons, you are working on this new news website for PEST. So it seems you're quite active here.
Just I guess trying to give people the same back that I got from learning how to write tests. So it's quite empowering, really, when you know how. So it's nice to be able to try and teach other people. It's great.
Yeah, I can only agree, and I love to hear that from you, because I think many people, especially in our community, PHP, Laravel, like to give back, because they had a lot of people helping then, and giving now back what you've experienced, what you've learned, I think is a very nice thing to do. I like to do this myself, and love also that you're doing this now with PEST and what you've learned about tests.
Yeah, for sure. And
so one question. Yeah, sure. It's a pleasure having you here, and I think it's the next good step after having Jason here last time, converting our test to the PEST setup, I'd say. Having you now here and going more into details about what we can do to improve our tests or make them more PEST-like. But before that, Luke, I have one question, and I have this in my head for quite some time. Every time I see you on a stream somewhere with your webcam, is your background, is this a real background or is this a fake one?
No, this is my house. So
this is your house, okay.
This is my bedroom / office. So we only live in like quite a small place because there's only me and my wife. So it's like a small little cottage. But this is real. It gets very warm in the summer.
I can imagine. It looks like a little cabin or something right in the middle of the nature.
I mean, the internet speed's not ridiculous, which is not amazing for streaming, but it's a nice place to live for sure.
Okay, good, so that I can check off this question in my head. Okay, I guess let's start. Let me share my screen. Here we go. Just one more other thing before we start. As always in those streams, we go through the next upcoming streams. It will quite fast this time because the only one upcoming. Let me just refresh this here because I love to see this live indicator here on the streams, because the only upcoming stream is also me next Monday, where I'm going to check out now that PHP 8.1 is out, how we can use it on the Larastreamers code base. But yeah, I hope, Luke, you are also having some new streams upcoming.
Yeah, I've got. I will be scheduling hopefully for Tuesday. I've got to just decide if I want to use Restream or whether I want to test out a new streaming platform on Tuesday, which is why I've not scheduled it in yet. But it should be happening, I'm sure.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Okay, but with that now out of the way, maybe let's also, just as a quick reminder what we did the last time, this is the pull request. As always, you can see everything which we do here on this project on the Larastreamers code base. Let me just to be sure, let me send it again to the comments so that you can follow everything we do. And this is the pull request from Shift, where we just converted our test to PEST with a few setup things that we're changing. Also here in the workflow, which is pretty nice from the Shift, that is now running automatically PEST and not PHP unit. And so we've already seen, which was really nice, is that here we almost lost quite a few lines of code, which I think is also one thing that we hear quite a lot of people using PEST, that you have to write much less because you don't have those classes anymore. You have this more like functional, this more functional code where you have less code to write, which is pretty nice. But then also what we've seen here is that, let me just scroll down here to some of those tests, that for many of them, of those tests, it didn't change too much. So instead of having this class method here, we just have this function here, and most of the test itself remained the same, except the expect, which we have now instead of the assertion. And I think what I'm also interested is how we can improve those tests a little bit more and use some of those more PEST features for some of those tests. And that's why Luke is here. And I think he already has some ideas, and we're just going to try this out together, right?
Yeah, for sure. I do think it's quite a good point, though, just to say, like, if you're coming from PHP unit and transitioning into PEST either halfway through a project or in a new project, that the tests are very similar. Like, the actual syntax, once you're inside the function, you can write the test with the exact same syntax as you would PHP unit. So it's not like a steep learning curve to pick up PEST if you've been on PHP unit, which is nice. That's kind of an advantage, I think. And I think Nuno made the right choice in building it on top of PHP unit rather than starting from scratch.
Yeah, and I think it's also pretty cool if you just want to try it out. You don't have to change everything you already have. You can just write your next test in a more PEST-like way, and everything you did before, you can leave it and decide later if you want to change that as well.
Exactly, yeah. You can run the PEST shift at any time in the project's lifetime that you want. You can wait 6 months or a year, or you could never. If you wanted just to keep a mix of PHP unit and PEST, you can. Like, it works. So.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty cool, and it's also nice that we have now this shift from Laravel Shift for PEST. Okay, let's get into the code. I'm here on the Larastreamers project. I'm here in the Shift branch, and maybe let's start by running our PEST test again, our test suite again with PEST, and let's see that everything looks good before we start. And because it's always nice to have a green base to start before writing something new or changing code. Yeah, similar to the last time, my laptop gets a little bit slower when I'm streaming, but yeah, this only pushes me towards a new MacBook Pro. But
Are you on Intel at the moment, or are you on M1, or are you?
I already have an M1, but it's the Air. It's the first that came out, which was pretty cool and the best laptop I ever had, and also the cheapest one, which is just insane when you think about it. With an Apple product. But yeah, now when I want to stream in 4K, currently we're streaming in 2K, just because we don't run into any issues with PhpStorm. But I really like to stream in 4K. So I guess that this would be the only reason to get a more powerful laptop for me. But it's
Yeah.
still a lot of money, especially the new
Yeah.
MacBook Pros. They are not as cheap as the Air ones.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
M1's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. So the first thing I thought we could do is just get parallel up and running.
Yeah.
So if you just run the command again, but do -p after.
Let's try this again. -p.
Just a single dash, just like
Just
shorthand.
one.
There we go. Yeah. When you run that, you should get So it's telling you to install the parallel plugin, so you can just copy that and paste it into the terminal.
Oh, nice. I think that's very similar to if you try to run your Laravel test in parallel, you always get this information, I guess. But just about the what is the plugin behind it? Is it Paratest or?
Yeah, so Paratest is the like PHP unit plugin, and then PEST plugin parallel actually uses Paratest, but Paratest has no clue about how to launch PEST or how to like load all the PEST tests. So
yeah, right.
It kind of sits between the two.
Yeah, I think
nice.
I remember a stream that you did with Freak together where you explained a little bit about the parallel testing of PEST. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite an achievement, really. In honesty, for PEST v2, I think with the things that Nuno's working on, we might even be able to retire the plugin and just have kind of parallel working. It's quite exciting what Nuno's working on. So it'd be cool, kind of, to share more as that gets closer to fruition. But it's cool that you can run in parallel and that you're not losing anything out in terms of speed on that side.
Yeah,
of things.
for sure. So it's amazing what you guys are working on, and the pace is crazy. New features like every week, new releases like every month.
Yeah, it's nice working on fresh projects because you have all these ideas and you can obviously implement them nice and quickly, which is cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I always like to also think about a PHP unit, because a lot of people now, it's easy to say now that PEST now has all the new cool stuff and PHP unit is old or not that good anymore. But yeah, still PHP unit is running for like, I don't know, 20 years, something like this. And it's amazing the work they have done and the base they have created. So yeah, it's always good to appreciate also the things which we already had and we can build on top of.
Yeah, definitely. Like, props to them. PEST wouldn't exist without it. So great work that they do. Yeah, so you just be able to run the same command again now with the -p again.
All right, let's do this.
There we go. So you've got 8 cores.
Okay, good to
on
know.
The MacBook. So by default, it's going to choose 8 cores for you. And obviously now
it's for sure faster than before. I can already tell that, and I'm also sure without the stream it would be blazing fast. Yeah, so
I think like before it was 56 seconds.
Oh wow, yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I think the whole test suite just in PHP unit, I think takes around maybe 15 seconds without streaming. So I guess with parallel it will be, I think it might be under 10 seconds, something like this. But since we're streaming, we use a lot of power.
Yeah, I'm on a M1 Mac Mini, and yesterday running the test suite without parallel was like 8 seconds, and then with parallel was like 3.5. So
oh wow, yeah.
So it does make a difference, and you'll see like the more tests you have, obviously, the bigger the difference.
Yeah, for sure, especially if your application gets bigger and the more tests you have. And okay, so we got parallel running. What's next, Luke?
So I think the next thing is if you're using PhpStorm, which I think most PHP users are, and you're using PEST, then you should definitely be using the PEST plugin. It's a free plugin. You can access it from the PhpStorm marketplace. So we can install that, and it just makes the integration much more seamless. And it's Oliver Newbro who works on the PEST plugin, and he does an amazing job of keeping up with all the features. So props to him.
Do you know the second one as well? Is it
I don't know the second one. I don't actually know that the
PEST
second one has
grammar
anything
language?
to do with
Okay, probably not. Yeah.
So, but yeah, the first one there is the one we're after. So we can install that. And,
Yeah, this is also what I'm really interested in because I'm using many of the PhpStorm features for running tests, and I'm really eager to see how this package can help us with auto completion and maybe also running tests directly. So let me check. Is it already installed? Oh yeah, I think I need to.
We just have to restart the IDE. Thanks, Java.
Let's do this. I'm glad I have this nice background here.
It's snazzy. Yeah, so props to Oliver.
Yeah.
You've already said that PEST adds new features at quite a pace, and like every time a new feature comes up, Oliver's the one who has to implement the implementation in the plugin. So I always feel sorry for him whenever we come up with a new idea, but he does a great job.
Yeah, amazing guy. Amazing guy. Yeah, in the meantime, also hello to everybody in the chat. It's nice to have you here. If you have any questions, please try to put a cube in front of it like this. Just going to write one, and maybe later if we have time we can scroll through some of the questions and then see if we can answer some of them as well. Okay, so we have it now installed. What changes should I see immediately, or what can I do now with this plugin?
Well, let's head into an actual test and let's see if it is up and running.
Whoa.
And we're on.
I have no idea how I triggered this, but yeah, we are still back. Are we still live? Yeah, we're live. Okay. Oh my God. It was like every time I hear the sound, it's like, oh my God, what's going on here? Is there somebody else using my Stream Deck buttons? I don't know. Okay, so I think I might. Cool. I think I was with the cursor still in Ecamm, and maybe I hit some shortcut which I tried on PhpStorm and then hit the other theme. But okay, we're back here. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to go into one of our tests. So just try just one of them.
Yeah, so you'll see now that we've installed the plugin, you get a nice green triangle.
Oh,
next to the test.
Similar to what I usually have with PHP unit tests.
Exactly, and all the keyboard shortcuts work if you've got keyboard shortcuts set up for like running tests. So if you can like hover over it and run it with a keyboard shortcut, or you can run it.
Okay, let me try because I have this one shortcut. Is this working? Yes.
Hurrah!
That's
so you see,
awesome.
We get the test output, and you can actually scroll down in the window there. You get like full PEST style output in here still.
Mm-hmm.
So and obviously, like, so if you were to put your cursor on line 10, for example, somewhere outside of like one test and run, it will run all the tests in that file. So super useful for. I mean, there's only one test in this file, but yeah, if there was like 4 or 5 tests, they run all together, and then you can see the results.
Yeah, I think we only have one here, but yeah, this is the shortcuts which I normally use all the time. I'm in a test, I only run this test, I get outside, I run all the tests inside this file, and then I use one of my shortcuts here to run maybe all of the tests so that I can see that the code I'm working on is not interfering with something else I did. And I think the first time PEST came out, I didn't try it because this feature was missing, and I use this all the time. So I'm pretty happy that this is in, and I also love now how PhpStorm gives you this nice indicators if a test passed or if there was a mistake. So that's already pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
It's super helpful. So only like when you, again, this is like workflow style, but I have like a keyboard shortcut that is set up to run the last test command, which is super helpful once you've got the plugin installed, because you can be in a completely different file, make a change, hit that keyboard shortcut, and you see the test immediately like reflected, which is nice.
Yeah, let's try this because I think I also got this one set up.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, here we go. Cool.
So that's super useful. Like, just need
Yeah.
to double check on something, or change something while you're refactoring. You can easily run the same test again. The other thing that it does is it helps with IDE auto completion on some of the more difficult parts that PhpStorm wouldn't usually understand, and we'll kind of see that as we move through the stream, and then obviously as you're using it in day to day. Yeah, great plugin, and certainly makes the whole experience of working with PEST like much nicer. So if you're using PhpStorm, use the plugin.
Yeah, I can see how this is a very big thing, because this way you nearly don't have to change really much, because you can still use all the shortcuts and the PhpStorm features you're still used to. And yeah, the only thing is changing is really those PEST features and nothing else, which I think is pretty cool and helps bring on more people and trying it out for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the first like thing I noticed is in the pest.php file, which is like the entry point of PEST. Like, it's the equivalent of the composer.json file for PEST.
Let me see. Is this here?
It's,
this one?
the third file down. Yeah. The other thing that the PEST plugin does is it gives all the PEST tests a nice icon, so you can easily like, as in like the files. All the files have nice PEST icons, which is quite useful. So you can see like the PEST
this one
has. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let me check the recent one. Yeah, okay, I can see it now here. Okay, should the tests also get one, or?
They should, yeah. That's I don't know whether you've got something configured, like a theme configuration there, because I've never seen that icon personally.
Yeah, this could be. I'm using the atomic icons, and could be that they are maybe overruling something.
Yeah, it looks like it. Could be that.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So in our pest.php file.
Yeah, let's get back here. All right.
So there's a couple of things that that Shift has done, I think for safety's sake, to make sure that you have the best possible experience, but it's actually added a few things in here that aren't necessary. So the first line on line 3 is basically saying, it tells PEST which test case, which PHP unit test case should be the basis for all of our tests. However, we don't need to specify the test directory or the fakes directory. So we can actually just remove those two things, because you've not got any tests in fakes, and your tests actually reside in feature and unit, because that's how you've set them up in the php unit.xml file.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. That's the first thing.
The second, line 4 is fine. Line 5 is unnecessary, because I think now on your base test case you use lazily refresh database.
Yeah, I think we've changed to it at some point.
So I think line 5 is redundant.
But let me check again. It should be inside the test case, right?
Yeah, so it's there at the top, look. You use lazily refresh database
here.
on line 12. Yeah, so we can just like...
Did you come up with it? Right, yeah, you did, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Not to plug myself too much. But,
we have to mention that here, yeah. I think it's pretty cool. I think I found one bug with it regarding testing artisan comments. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I've written it down somewhere, and I wanted to talk to you about it, but it wasn't that serious, and now I forgot about it. But it's a good thing. Maybe I'll talk to you later about this, if this is a bug or if it was it an error on my side. Okay, but
there's some edge cases with seeding. Like there's a few edge cases if you're doing extra seeding to your database that like come into place, which is why it was for a second or two it was added to like the core of Laravel, as in when you create a new application it would be the default, but now it's been rolled back and you have to add it manually because of those.
Okay, because of those edge cases. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, we can just remove line 5.
We can get rid of this.
We can just go. Yeah. It is not needed.
What does this mean for every test, or what does?
Yeah. So actually, I don't know. I'm unsure how PEST would parse the empty string there.
Okay.
But I imagine it's actually not even being used by PEST, because I'm pretty sure that refresh database possibly would clash with lazily refresh database.
Yeah.
So I think our test would have failed if it was being used. So but it just isn't needed. We can completely remove it. Awesome.
Okay.
So that cleans our PEST.php file up a little bit. Just makes it a little bit more streamlined. So the first test case I thought we could take a look at is submit stream action test.
Let me just write a little commit real fast here so that it will be also easier for people then to follow. Clean up PEST file. Am I running all the tests now? I hope not. If so, I need to
some Git hooks set up.
No, okay, it's only checking the code, all right. Okay, good. Let's get rid of that. And what was the name again of the test?
It was submit stream action test.
Submit stream action test.
You'll have to search for it as a file because obviously there are no classes.
Oh, yeah, right. Submit stream action test. No, why does this not work? Submit stream.
There we go. The second one down.
Let me just real quick check why was it not working. Submit stream action test. Okay, it's interesting. Because okay, now it works. No idea what I did. Maybe it's just because of it's a little bit slow today. Okay, submit stream action test. Okay, I can see here I have an unused test case, which probably I think also we got from the Shift.
Yeah, I think Shift just left it in. But they can go, obviously. There's no reference to test cases anymore other than in the PEST.php file. And then on line 31 is kind of where I saw an opportunity for a slight refactor. Actually, line 30. It's 31 after we refactor it, but you'll see that.
Okay.
So there are like 3 calls to expect here. But
yeah.
What I noticed is that all of the calls start with stream. Like they're all based around stream. So we can use, and this is kind of probably the theme of this video of this stream, is we can use higher order expectations here, which is, in my opinion, like it just makes things a bit more readable when you're working with objects that you want to test lots of properties on. So the basic thing is that the expectation just wraps the stream object. So if we kind of like give ourselves a few lines of space to work on, or we could refactor like this. This is fine as well. So yeah, we can do expect stream, and then is approved is obviously a method on the stream object, but you can call that as a extension of the expectation API. So you can actually just remove the syntax error. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we can remove the syntax error by getting rid of that brace, or bracket. And if you actually was to run this test with like your command T set up or whatever you've got set up as your command shortcut, it would actually still pass. There we go.
Yeah, looks good. Okay, cool. So this means we are now wrapping up the stream object, and PEST knows that if we're running this, that this is being run on the object itself now.
Exactly, yeah. And as soon as you... Sorry, go
on. It feels like I have auto-completion here. Is this right? Or does it...
I think you will get auto-completion. So I think this is something that Oliver's working on for the...
Yeah.
You will get auto-completion for expectations, but I don't think you'll get auto-completion for the properties.
Yeah, okay, I see.
So, but what we can actually do is we can continue our chain. So we've got the one chain which is approved to be false.
Yeah.
And then we can actually like remove all of the work on line 33. Like so we can get rid of the expect, we can get rid of the stream, and we can get rid of the arrow. And then we just need to get rid of the other bracket on the other side.
Whoop. This is due to my new keyboard, where I have now some new keys on the keyboard, which I didn't have before. And now every time I get too close to the enter key, I'm using this page down and page up keys, which I didn't have before for like 8 or 9 years, and now I have them, and now I click them all the time. It's insane, but I really hope I get used to this. Okay, but this means can I now just go on here like this?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and then you can just drop submitted by email next to it. And obviously, we need to get rid of the other bracket. And I think you can actually change to equal to be. So, to equal is like a double equals, whereas to be is like a triple equals. It's testing the type. And actually, I think it even tests that it's further than that. It tests that it's basically the exact representation. So it's similar to assert. What's the PHP unit equivalent? There's assert equals.
Assert equals and assert the same, maybe.
Yes, this is the so to be is the same as assert same.
Yeah, okay.
Which for strings is fine, and it's obviously just a little bit less verbose.
But let's just run it again just to make sure. Okay, it's still working. So does this mean if I'm chaining here those methods? Of course, PEST has not really an idea what this method is, but it just checks it and sees, okay, maybe I'm going to run this now on this object. Does it work something like that? Yeah.
It does, yeah. So.
And now when I'm running one of those assertion, I guess it just gives me back then the object, and then I can chain on the object again, or?
Yeah. So basically, it's a bit smarter than that because you can chain multiple assertions onto the end of to be false.
Okay, right. So I can do to be false, and I don't know, something else.
Tell you what you could do, which is it's pointless, but just as an example, you can do not. So, yep, and then another arrow, and then to be true.
Okay.
So in PEST, if you ever want to do the opposite expectation, you can just use the not property, which is super useful. But yeah, if you run that now, that will actually still pass. Obviously, it's a pointless thing that we've just added, but it shows you you can continue to chain, and you can also go deeper into the higher order expectation. So let's say is approved actually returned another object. You could then get a property on that object, and you could assert on that. So you have to be careful because if you can go too far with it, where things become unreadable. But when you're just doing tests on a model where you want to check each and every property in that model, I think it's super useful to be able to do this without having to have tons of expect calls.
Yeah, it is. And I also think it's pretty interesting how it works, because I think it's a pretty cool idea and cool that it works like that. And yeah, as you mentioned, I think it's also good to, because for me, having my tests to be very clear, very good to read, because we have now so many tests, and we have, maybe a third of the tests, or maybe a third of the tests are not coming from me, because we have a lot of contributions to the project. So I don't remember every test which I wrote or something else wrote. So for me, it's very important that my tests are super clear, that I can go in and directly see, okay, what's happening, even if I haven't been in the code for a week. So that's why I think it's, I guess it could be a little difficult to read if you chain here too many things next to each other, but I think in a good way, it can be really nice.
Yeah, I kind of like when you get to this thing where you're dropping each statement onto a separate line. Yeah. So it almost reads like a sentence. You're expect the stream is approved method to be false, but the submitted by email property should be this. And it reads quite nicely. So we can even do the same on line 34 and obviously get rid of that expect as well, because we're still just dealing with the stream. So all of that can go. Get rid of the stream as well.
Oh yeah, stream again.
And then again, that can become to be if you want it to be. to be.
Yeah, let's keep it consistent. I think then it's also good to read to be false, to be. I think there's also these little things that still help every time you have to go through such a test or code.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, nice. Expect stream. Let me just go through it real quick. Expect stream is approved to be false. Submitted by email to be this, and language code to be. Yeah, I can see how this is useful, because it's really nice to read, and especially as you mentioned, if we would have all this method, maybe something like this, then maybe it could be very difficult to read. But as long as we wrap it up in a nice way, each assertion on one line. I think it's pretty cool. And again, we are also losing a little bit of code.
Exactly, yeah. And it just, I think one of the nice things about PEST is one of the goals is kind of to remove any of the boilerplate and just leave you with exactly what you need to kind of make to see immediately what the assertion is, what you actually are checking. And when you see like a big long block of expect calls or this assert equals, you're like, my eyes tend to blur over the actual detail, and all I see is like the original method. So what's quite nice about this is everything, the first thing on each of those lines is the thing we actually want to test. And then we say, and just make sure that this is the case. So I really like how that kind of goes together.
Yeah, I can only agree. And one thing I wanted to mention, but I think I forgot it now. What was it? Okay, I lost it. Okay, oh yeah, I remember the first thing. Let me check again if this is true. Yes, I think one of the first thing when Nuno was working on PEST, he was complaining about PHP unit was like the long text you get with every test you run in front of every test. So I think it's a little bit of this, but there is much more in if you run PHP unit. And this was the first thing where I thought, yeah, if we could get rid of like 10 sentences just about PHP unit and who is it and other stuff which you don't want to see every time because of those things, you most have then to scroll down. And I think here you can see that it's already much better to see what's happening. And yeah, I think it's those little things that can really change a lot in your daily workflow.
Yeah, I think what's nice as well, we spent a lot of time trying to get the PEST output in PhpStorm to feel as close as possible to the PEST output in the terminal. Because if you actually compare like how things look in how it is by default, you just get a bunch of dots here and like you don't get much information. But we work quite hard just to make sure that everything feels exactly the same. So there's no like jarring experience going from one to the other.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Good work on that.
So there's another cool test we can change, which is sort streams by date action test.
Sort streams by date action test. Here we go.
And it's around line 46, 47. Here we go, yeah.
Yeah,
46. So we have this assert equals. So there are two ways we can do this. Like you can basically switch this into a standard expectation. So the standard expectation for this would be expect prepared stream keys to array. So we'll do it this way first.
So expect.
Yeah, so basically you're going to copy what's on line 51. Like grab the object.
Yeah, okay.
And then you can use to be again, because that's basically the call that's taking place. And then you just paste the array in that you've got there.
Right, like this. So I guess that's the first one. Let's get rid of this. And it should still work. Yeah, it does. Okay, so yeah, right.
That's the direct replacement.
Yeah.
As in if you were literally translating from one to the other, which is fine. But something cool we can do is you can actually get rid of the to array part. So if you remove to array on line 46.
Okay.
And then you move to be in line.
I move so like to be. Sorry.
As in like just put to be on the same line as expect. This is just like it's not important that you do that, but you'll see in a moment. So, and if we change to be to a call to sequence. So instead of calling to be, we'll call the methods. So just change it to the method sequence.
What do you mean with method sequence?
Yeah, so sorry, I like delete the word to be. Sorry.
Okay.
And instead write sequence.
Just sequence. Okay.
Yeah.
Sequence. Okay, what does that mean?
One more thing just before
Okay,
we
yeah.
go through it. Just get rid of the array syntax as well. So as if you passed a Varadic number of arguments. Cool.
Okay.
And the test will still pass. So
Somehow it does,
sequences,
yeah.
yeah. So sequence is quite a cool thing. But basically, if you're dealing with an iterable, then what you can say is loop over each item in the iterable and perform a certain expectation on each item in this order. So if you pass a value that isn't a closure, I should say, then what it's actually going to do is it's going to by default use the to equal check under the hood. So what this is doing is you've obviously passed in prepared streams keys, which is a collection, and a collection is iterable. So expect says, well, let's loop over each one because you've asked for a sequence. And for the first item in this iterable, I'm going to check that the value is today. For the second item, I'm going to check that the value is tomorrow. And for the third item, I'm going to check that it's Sunday, June the 13th, 2021. But if you want to go further, so let's imagine that we don't want to test two equal, we want to test something different. You can actually pass a closure in here, and so you can pass as many closures as you want, as many items as you've got, you pass a closure for. And the closure receives a property, which is a new expectation. And you can just chain expectations onto that. So instead of having to do like a separate expectation for each and every item in an iterable, you can just use sequence instead.
Okay, so this means I could also check like that the first argument is this, then the second argument is maybe to be false or something like this. So I could also use then those things for every different key, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, to be fair, if you wanted to avoid having to use a closure, I think you could just pass false on line 48 because that also would pass to equal. But let's say you want to check that argument number 2 is an array, then you can instead pass a closure, which will receive a property, and on that property you can call to be array. So instead of having to like destructure your array and go through the items one by one by one by one and have a giant call of expecs, you can instead just use sequence and very quickly loop through each item.
Okay, so first let me try. So if I'm going to switch those, this should fail now, right?
Yeah, that will fail.
Yeah, so just to, okay. So that I get this clear in my mind. And now could I pass in here a closure? And I think similar to what you said. And then in here, what do I get?
So I usually call it like item.
Yeah.
Like, or just whatever it is. So key or item or whatever. And that isn't actually the value. It's an expectation that wraps the value. So it's as if you've called expect item. So you can chain onto there item to be string, for example. Yeah, or to be, that's fine as well.
So this is also what I could do, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and that will also pass.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I can see how this could be useful, and I think it's very nice because you can separate all those checks, and maybe you want to check them differently. And what did you say? Also to be string.
Yeah, to be string would work. Yeah, exactly. And also, what's nice is if you're in 7.4 or later, obviously you can even use shorthand closures. So that can literally become like a one-liner where you literally just perform the action very, very easily.
So let me try to get that in place like this. I think so, right? Let's run it. Yeah, that's nice. Of course, I'm a big fan of those short closures. I wasn't at the beginning, but now I'm a big fan, and I love if you can bring those 3 or 4 lines of a function into this one-liner, which is pretty cool and very nice to read.
I think it's one nice thing about the short closures. Well, actually, not one nice thing, but it's the same as everything, and it's the same as things like sequences. if you misuse short closures, the code becomes harder to read. You have to know when to use them and when not to use them. One of the other things which there isn't actually really reason for in your test. I tried my hardest to find a good use case for it in the test suite, but at the moment there isn't good reason. But I would just show you that if we'd go to like line 45.
45, yeah.
And just expect prepared streams keys again. I mean, we could chain this expectation, but I want to kind of just keep things separate for a second.
Okay, keys, yeah.
And then we can chain each instead of sequence. So you can say each, and you don't even have to pass it as a method. You can do it as a property, and then off the property, you can say like to be string, for example.
Oh, actually now we have some auto-completion back again. I guess this is also because of the plugin, right?
Yeah. The plugin is doing all of the autocomplete magic for the most part. I think we do use generics in the PEST code base. So if PhpStorm understands like that level of generics, it will actually pick up the autocompletion as well.
Cool.
Yeah, you can do. Sorry.
Sorry, it's just those little things getting auto-completion here, which I think for me is really a decision maker if I want to use something or not. If I had autocomplete before and then using a new tool and I can't use it, I probably won't switch, or at least it will take me quite some long time before I really switch. But if this is already in place, and I think that's so cool because I think we should concentrate on our business logic and everything else, and not what methods or properties we can use. So pretty cool that this works. But sorry, I interrupted you.
No, not at all. So basically, just like let's use to be string.
To be string. Okay, so this means we are now going to loop through all of them and just checking if it is a string.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I guess this should work. Yeah, it does. Okay, good.
I find that really useful. Like sometimes I'll have a data transfer object or something where I want to just double check that every item is a certain instance of a class.
Yeah.
So it's really useful for that. So yeah, each and sequence are kind of like best friends when it comes to iterables, and it can save you a lot of boilerplate code just by switching to that rather than going through each item individually and pulling out the right key and all the rest.
Yeah, like it a lot.
So I mean, we don't actually technically need 45 because it's being tested by the other ones, and we don't even need the shorthand closure. But it was just a good demonstration, really.
Yeah, I think it was also good for my mind to try to write it as I thought it would work, and then to see if it works. So was a good example for me to get it straight. So now I finally know what you mean with sequence. And
there is another there's another example of this as well around line 25 of this file.
25. Here we go. We are expecting keys to equal today.
So this is like a perfect use of sequence because we can remove all of that boilerplate. So again, we just start with the exact same thing, expect prepared stream keys.
So let's do this. Expect prepared prepared streams. And we're only passing the keys then, okay. All right.
Then we can have a new sequence, obviously.
Yeah, sequence, here we go. And then we're just passing in those 3 items, right?
Yeah.
Let me check again for if we only pass a string, it's going to check if it's equal, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, good. So let's get rid of all of them here.
Nice.
Okay, let's get them out here. And maybe let me line this up here a little bit more nicely. Yeah. So expect prepared streams, the keys, sequence. The first is today, the second is tomorrow, and the third is this date. All right. And yeah, as always, it works. You're not telling us lies. That's good. And what I think at the end, when I'm going to push the code and maybe we quickly look over through the changes we did, because for me it's super interesting then to see how did it look before, how does it look now, what are the difference, what do I like now more, or maybe is something worse, because now of course I can't. Okay, I still see it here, so I think we can imagine, but yeah, I can see how all of this here is things which you probably don't need because it's very much nicer this way. I have to agree. Like,
this is nicer. It gets rid of the implementation detail and lets you just focus on like what are the values I'm actually interested in.
Yeah, exactly, because we don't care if it's those three or maybe there are other keys. We just want to make sure that this is the correct order and these are the items I am expecting.
Yeah, exactly. Like obviously we've called the keys method here, but imagine if it was an array of, imagine if it was an associative array.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't want to have to remember what the keys are. We just want to test. We just want to say, give me them all in order and make sure that they're this. So sequence allows you to just get rid of all of that implementation detail and just say, just pass me them in the same order that they came in and check each one.
Yeah, pretty cool, because these are always things we don't need to know, and other people reading our tests also don't need to know those details. They just need to know that these are the items in this collection. And I think this also helps others than reading the code, or especially me reading the code in like 1 month or a year to still remember what's going on here.
Cool. So I know it's like I can't believe it's already 10 to 2. That's crazy. Well, 10 to 3 in your time.
It is. Wow.
There is one last like test case that is quite a good exploration of higher order tests. Mm-hmm. You want to take a look at that?
Yeah,
so that is the YouTube test.
YouTube test.
And I think you'll see immediately where we can change for higher order expectations. So,
okay, let me check. It's probably not here. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's here, right?
Yeah. So this can obviously all become higher order expectations. And what's quite cool is you'll actually see we have some nested higher order expectations. So like on line 21, we're calling on platform synths to ISO 8601 string. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna dive into an object and then into a method on that object and then perform an assertion on it. So let's kind of start our expectation with just channel and then go from there.
Yeah, let's do this. But yeah, it's jumping right into our face, those expectation calls here. So we have to do something about that. Okay, we are going to start with the channel, and then let me see. What is the first thing? Yeah, now we have auto completion. Wow. I love it. So, okay, I guess that's pretty obvious then.
Yep.
Let's just copy this out here.
And with a little bit of, I don't know how you are with multi-cursors, but with a little bit of multi-cursor.
Yeah. Should we try this?
We can certainly try. I mean, if it's a big failure, then that's we can always go backwards.
Let's try this. So we can get rid of everything here on the left, right?
Yep. Just that we need the one arrow back. Yeah.
Yeah. And
we just need to get rid of all of those extra brackets.
Yeah, am I right here?
Yep.
Yeah, except for one semicolon.
Here. Oh yes.
And the one here on the platform, but let's change this then later. Okay, and this here, right?
Yep.
And now let's bring this back.
And just the extra 2 ISO. That's why it failed, isn't it? There we go. And then obviously just like a reformat. And did we delete the semicolon at the end of 25?
I don't think so. Or we're just missing the last one here, right?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. my reformat code. Okay, now it's working. Okay, it seems at the first time we have auto completion, but not for the second one. Do you know? Is this?
Yeah. So this is to do with the fact that once we're in to equal, it doesn't. PhpStorm doesn't know which object we've passed back. So
Yeah.
this is something that Oliver's working on the plugin, but obviously it's just a big job.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
I can imagine it's not easy.
Yeah, I think it's becoming easier now that PhpStorm is starting to push out support for generics and like auto completion with generics. And once that's more in full flow, I think that it will become basically like the plugin won't actually even need to do anything. It will literally just be PhpStorm understanding that that's what's returned because of the generic.
I think that's the direction where we're going with PhpStorm and other IDEs and with PHP itself, that they will understand all of this very soon, which I think is pretty cool and will also help the analyzer tools like PHPStan, Larastreamer, and so on.
Exactly.
So really looking forward to that,
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be much better for being able to understand what's going on without having to dive into the source code as much. But yeah, I think line 20 is obviously now just a duplicate because we manually did.
Oh yeah, 19. Right. And
that should pass.
Let's also run it. Yeah, let's see. Okay, it passes. Cool. Let's read through it again. So expect the channel, YouTube custom URL to equal this, the name to equal this, description to start with, on platform. Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool that we can run this here directly and it still works. To equal our specific date, country equal.
I mean, it's not going to shave much off, but obviously all of those two equals could actually be to be instead.
Oh yeah, it's even shorter
because they're all just testing. They're all just testing strings, which are inherently fine with that. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. And yeah, as you said, it wasn't that difficult to even change it. Yeah, also with the multi-cursors, because the pattern is pretty much the same, and we also didn't have to change too much code, just the things in between and after, and yeah, pretty cool. Looking forward to see this later then on the pull request to check again. Yeah, for me, because I'm sorry.
Sorry, go on. No, go on, Christoph. Sorry.
Those underlying things is always what I don't like, because it takes my attention and it doesn't need my attention because it's working. So would be pretty cool if Oliver can make that work, or with PhpStorm to make this work, because this would be even cooler. But yeah, I really like the flow. Yeah, and as you said, it's also really good to read.
Yeah, I think it reads real nice. It's nowhere near as much boilerplate. There's nowhere near as much boilerplate going on to see exactly what's actually taking place. But I think it's nice. I really do. I really like the Expecation API and kind of what that brings to PEST. So it's always a nice place to start. When I actually started with PEST, I didn't use PEST at all, because the Expecation API used to be available outside of PEST. You could install it in PhpStorm.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. They moved it into, Nuno decided to move it into core because it was easier to maintain that way. But I used to use PHP unit because that's what I was used to, and I just moved to the Expecation API completely because that's what it just felt a lot more natural than saying like this assert equals or this assert same or whatever, because I always find that you have to put the thing you're testing on as the last parameter, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I never really liked that, because I prefer to see what I'm testing first, and then I like to see what I expect it to be.
Yeah.
So I much prefer like the way the Expecation API is easy. I find it easier to read. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, because the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, because of course I've seen it on other streams or some of those cool screenshots being shared on Twitter, and I thought, yeah, it's cool, but is it also good to read? And I wasn't sure about it, but I think I now more realize that it's mostly because I'm really used to the assertion on PHP unit. I'm using PHP unit now for such a long time, and especially in the last years a lot. And I'm really comfortable and with all my tests and what I do. And I think that's always a point where it's also a little bit difficult to change it, and you mostly also don't see the advantages right away. And that's also why I wanted to do the streams, to force myself to dig a little bit deeper into PEST and what it can do. And I think it was important for me to get here and test this myself, and then also compare and see, okay, is it better now? Do I like it more? What are the things that I like? What are the things I don't like? And you only are going to notice if you really try it out yourself.
Yeah, and that kind of one of the things is obviously on this stream, all we've done is refactor existing code. But what I really like is when I test a model, I write like this from the get go. And when I write like this from the get go, there's a lot less I'm actually having to write, because I'm literally just saying make sure this looks like that, and then this looks like that. I'm not having to write expect all the time. I'm not having to write this assert equals all the time. I'm just literally writing the exact thing I need at that moment. So again, it's personal preference. There's nothing wrong with PHP unit. PHP unit's great. I personally prefer PEST, which is why I kind of go on stream and try to use it. But the end goal is just to get people testing, right? So
yeah,
whatever works. That's kind of the last thing. As long as you're writing tests, everyone's happy. Personally, I think PEST is really nice.
I think if PEST managed to bring in new people to testing, it already succeeded, because as you said, that's the most important goal, and it's good to have different solutions out there, and everyone should choose what fits best. But yeah, the more solutions, the more people hopefully are using them and writing tests, and in the end, they will be happy, because I know those tests will help them in the future. So that's also why I try to teach a lot about testing, because I know how useful it can and will be to projects, to team, to companies, and to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Are we finished with the examples? Should we call it a day?
Well, I mean, I have more, but I think for the sake of people's time, this is one of those things where, to be fair, people might go through the source code after the stream and actually see, oh, there's somewhere where this could be refactored. So it's quite nice to go through the tests and after kind of seeing what's possible and go, oh, well, we could actually change that.
I'm always also open up for pull requests. And one thing you mentioned, now I remember. So the first thing we did in the first stream was converting the given test to PEST. Now in the second stream, we were adapting tests to use more the Expecation API and more think about in the PEST way how we can change our test. And as you mentioned, now for me, the third next step would be to write new tests with PEST, because then, as you mentioned, I need to shift my mind in order towards PEST, so that I can see, okay, if I'm testing now with PEST, I would do this a little bit differently, thinking about sequence, thinking about the Expecation API, thinking about testing like a model in general, and what are the things I want to test on a model. And I think this would be now for me a logical next step to try to write next tests with PEST.
Yeah, one of the main things for me, as an example of that, is I never used to use data providers in PHP unit, because there was a lot of boilerplate to using them. Like, you had to create an extra method, and then you had to do the doc block, and it always just felt like friction to me, where it would just be quicker to copy and paste the test a bunch of times. But say when you're writing with PEST, it's literally just a chained method on the end of the test call to with, and then you just pass the array in. So because it's so much easier and there's less boilerplate, I now use data sets everywhere. Like, even if it's not necessarily necessary. So for example, if I'm testing like emails and I want to check on a bunch of invalid emails, like, it's so easy just to pass a data set in and a bunch of emails that I want to make sure work or don't work. So that's kind of like once you get into that way of thinking and you realize what's possible and how easy it is, it kind of changes the way you test a little bit as well. And in my opinion, for the better. So certainly you want to get into writing tests from the get-go with PEST and see how that takes you, and look at the docs as you're going, and watch maybe streams that feature PEST, and kind of just get into the mindset of how does PEST go together, what's on offer, what's available beyond Expecation API or the Laravel support that it has, etc. And just kind of try it, really try it, and then obviously from there whether it's valuable to you or whether you want to use something else.
Yeah, I think, or I'm sure that's the only way to really get to know a tool and see if it fits you or not, and you just have to try it out. And yeah, I'm pretty interested in what my next steps would be. So maybe let's first, do you have a few more minutes?
Of course, yeah.
Let's just push the code and maybe let's just check it out on the diff page and see what we changed. Adapt example test to more PEST way. And I think, yeah, let's push it right away.
I'd love if Adrian was still using Bhat and was just like contributing stuff to PEST, but using Bhat behind the scenes. That would be hilarious.
I'm sorry, which Adrian?
Adrian in the chat. He contributes to PEST. And
the trolling guy.
Yeah, he's done some awesome contributions to PEST. But it's funny that if he was using Bhat as his day-to-day thing, but then just every so often did a PEST PR, that'd be quite amusing.
Yeah, he lives very close to me. Nice guy. Sometimes a little bit too much trolling, Adrian, but but I still love him. Let me see. Let's check out some of the changes.
Can we limit to like the commit that we've just done?
Yeah, this makes sense. This is a good idea. Where's the last one? Shouldn't it be here on top?
Do we need to refresh the page or?
Yeah, maybe. Let's see if we have them here. Yeah, we have them. Let's try again. Yeah, even my browser is a little bit slow. So I'm so close to buying a new MacBook Pro just to stream here with better PhpStorm performance. Because for me it's also difficult because I'm telling everybody to use PhpStorm. I'm selling my course about PhpStorm, and then I'm using PhpStorm in my streams, and it's slow. That's not how it should be, right?
Not great marketing.
No. Okay, why?
Where is it? It's weird.
That's odd. That's strange, right?
Yeah.
Oh, here. Okay, just down the list.
Right at the bottom.
All right, yeah. Okay, so I just want to quickly look through and see if I can see any changes visually or anything that I know just from how it looks. So yeah, I really liked how we were using the sequence here. And I think there might be scenarios, I'm not sure if it's really true in reality, but sometimes I'm very specific about some tests that I really want to keep them in one line and maybe not want to change them. At least I think in my head, it's not like here, but I think sometimes I really want to keep them separated. At least it feels like that for me. But I think in 90% of the cases, of course, it's much nicer this way. But I really need to check if the... Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I agree. I mean, it's I think it's important that we have the tools to kind of code in the way
Yeah.
that we want. I mean, technically speaking, there's nothing to stop you using the old assert equals
Yeah.
in
True.
your PEST tests. It's kind of just like giving you as many tools as possible to let you do the job the way you want to do it.
Yeah. Exactly. So. Yeah, so this, for example, this for me, I think it's the perfect example where it's for sure much better now and easier to read, especially because it's quite simple. We have this one object, we have those three properties or methods on it that we want to check something. And I think this is also nice because it kind of groups now this test together. They are all about the stream. And here on the left, it wasn't that clear just right from the first look. So I like how this now also with the indentation, I think helps me a little bit to read the tests better.
Yeah.
So I think this is for sure a big win. Yeah, the same here.
Like
We have some tests on the channel.
this is a great example. Like when I look at the one on the left, my eyes kind of just blur over the detail. I don't see any. I have to actually stop and think and read each line. Whereas the one on the right, it's only the things that I'm actually interested in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what you meant is that exactly here in the first line, we see here, okay, this is about the YouTube custom URL. And here we have to go, okay, channel. And then like the third or fourth word, you see, okay, okay, this is about this now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you very much, Luke. Should we maybe also check if we have any questions?
Yeah, I've been kind of trying to keep an eye. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any legitimate questions.
Yeah, this is a very interesting one. Is someone from JetBrains watching? I don't know.
There are actually. I do need to. There's a couple of things I noticed the other day. So one of the things is I don't know whether you've ever used the feature, but if you do, I think it's Command N from inside a class, there's an option to generate a test for that class in PhpStorm. And currently, it doesn't include PEST as an option for generating tests. I know that PEST is basically just an empty file, but it would still be nice to have an option. So I wonder if there's any contact with JetBrains that we could have that like as part of the platform, because PEST is actually the second most used PHP testing framework.
Oh wow, that's fast.
So
wow.
yeah. So it's pretty. And I think the fact that it's built on top of PHP Unit has aided that adoption, because of how easy it is to kind of switch between the two. But yeah, it's kind of big. So I feel like it should kind of have first party support in PhpStorm, which would be really nice.
Yeah. So the Twitter account for PhpStorm is managed by Roman. Is also the one that I have had a lot of contact in the past, and yeah, I think we need to talk to him. I can send you his Twitter account, and then you can send him a message over, or actually, I have a call with him later today. Now remember, yeah, because I'm writing a new article about something PhpStorm and PHP related, and I have some question, and he's nice enough to answer me. Let me check. Is it already in 15 minutes? Could be. Okay. Let's check. Do we have any other? Let me just filter through them. Yeah, so questions are pretty simple now. My example question, then what happened, which is a nice one. Then how to press all buttons on my stream deck at once. Yeah, so it feels like someone did that during our stream. And yeah, then the last one by Samuel. Okay, but I think this also means that our stream was so good that we didn't left any questions, and everybody was so happy that it was super clear, and yeah, which I think is also a good sign. All right, thank you so much, Luke, for coming to the stream, helping me out, helping the other ones out watching. I can only tell for myself, so I think I just decided I'm going to use PEST on Larastreamers because I think it's the best way to really learn it and to really get a better understanding of it, to using it myself. And I think Larastreamers is a great project just to give this a try. So yeah, maybe later today I'm going to merge the new tests, the shift pull request, and then in the next stream I might have to start writing my first real from scratch PEST tests.
Hey, well that's good. I'm glad that was the outcome. So no, thank you very much for having me on the stream. It's nice to be able to come on and just tell more people about PEST.
Thank you again for everything you do. You're also such a nice guy. So please keep doing what you do. It's nice to have you around and in the community and helping out. So thank you very much for this. Is there anything else you want to mention? Maybe another stream, product, anything else you're doing? This is your chance.
Yeah, so I don't want to plug anything too hard, but I am working on a few things at the moment. So, but nothing ready to announce yet, apart from the PEST in Practice series. So that's going well. If you want to see more PEST, that usually streams Tuesday evenings. So we're basically using PEST to build an official PEST news site at the moment, which is quite exciting. And I think very soon we're going to have Freek van der Herten on stream as well, because we'll be integrating with Mailcoach. So hopefully we'll see some cool integration with how would you go about testing Mailcoach with PEST, or some more advanced stuff like that. And I'm also using Inertia and Vue as the front end stack. So testing Inertia and how I tend to go about actually building Laravel applications as well, in a way that is focused around making it easy to test, rather than trying to fit the tests in after the fact and shoehorn them in around something that maybe isn't quite architectured right. So we just tend to do an hour on Tuesdays. So if anyone wants to join, please feel free.
Cool. So everyone check this out. Again, Larastreamers is the place where you're going to find out about those upcoming streams. And I'm also going to add all those links to this video so that you can check it out later. All right, with that being said, I think we can wrap it up. Again, Luke, thank you so much for joining. It was fun, and we are going to keep using PEST now on Larastreamers, and I will be back with a live stream on Monday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Luke. Thank you, everybody, for watching. See you the next time. Bye.